On this week's episode of the Modern Dealer Podcast, David talks about his trip to the ER. I think I have the coronavirus. We talk about Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con. We answer the question, how bad is our ADD anyways? And we wrap up talking about Google's Dealer Guidebook 2.0. All that and more on this week's episode of the Modern Dealer Podcast. Welcome in to episode 035 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. My name is David Farmer with Entice. And with me, as always, is David Bertoncini. How you doing, David? That's good stuff.
Oh, man. I love the intro. It's always strong.
It's
so good.
Even in my weakened state, I am able to bring on the intro. Not feeling good today. I've just been tired the last few. I don't know if it's allergies. I don't know if it's the coronavirus. I don't know if when I fucking
slide away.
Yeah. When I was in the plane going to Vegas and coming back, if I picked something up, but I'm definitely on the tail end of it.
Good.
I mean, I felt like I had a little bit of fever a couple days ago. This weekend, I pretty much just hung out on the couch, did a lot of resting and relaxation, but my mind is clear. My body's just a little bit behind it.
You are sharp today. We've been talking, pre to the show, so many different topics we've covered. So I know you're sharp. I'm sharp.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely fueled up today with a couple things. But I have to tag on something that you said, which I didn't think I wanted to talk about, but when you said at the tail end of something.
Yeah.
So last week after
always have to love the segues, right?
I love the segues, man. So last week at the end of the Modern Dealer Podcast, I reached out to my mother earlier in the day to have dinner with her. And after I left here, we're up in Wesley Chapel. My mother's in Ruskin, which is a good hour down 75. Called her, let her know, hey, I'm on the way. Get to where I was supposed to meet her towards the restaurant. She already went home. Long story short, I get to her house. Now, my mother suffers of dementia. And I get to the house, and we had an episode with, she didn't really remember why I was there. And her confusion actually alerted her dogs, and her dogs decided to take as you said, the tail end. They took a good chunk. They took a good bite out of me the other day. So it's kind of funny, but not funny. It's sad because it's because of a disease that that people should be aware of. That dementia, Alzheimer's is actually something serious, and it can affect other people, like it affected me with the dogs deciding to take a bite out of me. So it was a little crazy, man.
Yeah,
it was crazy because I reached out to you the next day. I said, man, you almost lost your co-host, man, because it was pretty fucking bad. It was not one, wasn't two, but it was 3 dogs.
Yeah, you ended up in the
ER, man.
ER phone.
Yeah, because they're not little dogs. I mean, we're talking 75-pound Rottweiler, pit bull, mixed junkyard dogs, looking rough things. But hey, I'm here. I made it. I survived.
We're both here. Maybe not 100%,
not
98, 99.
Physically, we are not all there, but hey, we're sharp, ready to
and
roll.
we have some good content to bring to the Modern Dealer Podcast today.
We got a lot.
A ton of information, and my goal is just to really skim the top layer of everything that's available, point our viewers into some additional point of views to be able to dig in a little bit deeper and get some more information about this extremely important topic. But before we get there, we're jacked up a little bit on coffee. Is that right?
Oh, man. So when you said point, I was looking at the point of my Black Crow coffee. As you can see, his beak on the Black Crow is pointing this direction, and just decided really up the game today because I really needed some mental clarity. So I went with the Bulletproof coffee, which has a shot of lard or some type of butter or coconut oil, or I'm not sure what it is in there, but it makes it bulletproof. And then also they added 2 shots of espresso in there. So this thing was bulletproof, not dog bite proof, but
and the cup is 100% compostable. Very cool.
Yes, no tree. So no tree left behind. What are you sipping on there, boss?
So this time I have, like I said last week, we're going to try to cover something a little bit different each week. We'll see how long that lasts. But Newman's Own is what I got here. It's quite good. Great great tasting coffee that just happens to be organic. They also, this is a little snippet from their website. So if that sounded like a commercial, it
feels
probably
like
was.
one.
But they also are a fair trade organization, and they give all of their profits to how do they
Newman's
say it here?
Foundation.
The Newman's own foundation, which is pretty cool. Over $550 million have been given to thousands of charities since 1982. So that's kind of cool.
That's pretty good stuff. That sounds flavorful. Well, is it doing the trick?
And,
How
it
you
is
feeling?
good. It is good. So it's not just, one of the things I want to do is it good? Yeah, because I mean, if it's not good, I'll definitely let you know. But this is pretty good.
You don't hold back. So yeah, you'll let you know if it's flavored dishwater or exactly what it is.
And I've had some of that before, especially being in the car business. At some of these dealerships, you get the coffee you get there. Not good.
So today we're recording on February 25th.
Yep.
Over the weekend was something that I normally attend to, but I didn't attend to this time around, and actually segues into my sock game, which I'll go into the sock game and just point out what it is really fast.
Okay.
Today is Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold.
Sell or Be Sold.
So that's what his first, I think that was his first book he put out was Sell or Be Sold. And
Uncle G,
good stuff putting it out. Love Grant over the years. Going to his events, I went to the last three. I did not go to the one this past weekend. He did wind up selling out, and I love when he sells out. My man doesn't stop marketing.
Right.
He did sell it's like a pay-per-view. It was a live stream of it for $150 for 3 days.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean that's about as good as a fight, man.
Yeah.
I mean that's the price of a good a boxing match. But Grant has really gotten into just a marketing genius. The only thing that I don't like anymore when going to these events is it's a huge pitch fest. So every one of the guests on there are selling you something.
God, I mean, and it is
even Snoop
huge.
Dogg was there.
Yeah, Snoop
and
Dogg,
Kevin Hart, and
let's see if they does
Magic
he have
Johnson.
a list of people that were here. So
all your speakers. I'm not sure.
See all
Business
speakers.
coach.
I mean, it's just so many people. It's amazing. Okay, so we're going to go through your Grant Cardone, Elena Cardone, Kevin Hart, Scooter Braun, Rick Ross, Tim Story, Magic Johnson, Ryan Deese, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He's from Digital Marketer. Pete Vargas, Snoop Dogg.
Gotta love Snoop Dogg. I would have went just for Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
that would have been my favorite one to see. But then I saw Steve Harvey last year and David John.
Russell Brunson, we talked about what the fuck is ClickFunnels anyways?
To answer your question, Kevin.
Yeah.
What the fuck is ClickFunnels?
So ClickFunnels, we'll just give a quick little answer. ClickFunnels is
going back 3 episodes.
ClickFunnels is a platform that you can subscribe to on a monthly basis. It's anywhere between $100 and $1,500 per month. That gives you the ability to create mini websites that help you sell products online.
Yep.
Pretty. That
is the elevator pitch of it. So short version.
Yeah.
But back to this. It's been good over the years, but it was over
for you.
The pitch fest.
You didn't see the value.
I didn't see the value this time. Now, and after going to 3 of them, the inaugural one in Miami, then the one in Vegas, then the one back in Miami. The one in Miami last year was 30,000 people. It was in the Marlins Stadium. It was just too much. It was not. You couldn't hear properly.
Yeah.
But this one over the past weekend, hopefully it was good for those guys. I didn't opt in for this one. I opted to opt out.
I got
a ton of phone calls from
there.
them. We were just there last week. Yeah. Well, I would have probably had to stay an extra few days, but I got a ton of phone calls from their marketing department saying, "Hey, you didn't sign up for GrowthCon. What's going on, man?" And these guys were calling me 3 times a day from his office. One from California, one from Texas, one from Florida.
Amazing.
So all 3 offices would hit me 3 times a day. I'm like, it's nuts. But good luck to Grant. Love him. I know he's been inspirational, but a little too much of a pitch there for me this time around. But
more power to him, man. I mean, it is amazing what he's built. I mean, gone from the first time I saw Grant Cardone was in 1996. He came to, I don't know if it was Tampa or Clearwater, but he was in a hotel conference room.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw him, I mean, what he was talking about as far as car sales, I mean, it was exactly what I was looking for. And, I read that book cover to cover 1,000 times, remembered memorized all the closes. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely very influential. I mean, even to the point where in 1999, I created my first product, ePencil, and brought it to the marketplace through one of his companies, the Cardone Group, which is an in-house training organization based in Orlando. So yeah, very cool to see him go from that to
superstardom.
Yeah,
to where
a 5-time
hanging out with Snoop Dogg.
Hanging out with
that's the coolest one to hang out with, Snoop Dogg.
Right?
Of all the guests, I would have been like, let me just hang out with Snoop.
Yeah, very cool. So anyways, so
Moving
that's
on.
very cool. So sock game going on today. We got a little sock cam that we shared with that. So let's move into our first, our main topic. Let's kind of, just chat about it a little bit before we dive into it. So we're talking about the Dealer Guidebook 2.0, how dealers can drive success on Google. So this kind of harkens back to episode 005. So 30 weeks ago, we talked about the Google Guidebook 1.0.
Yep.
And in that book, so that was released in 2017. And I think it was very influential on how dealers and agencies really looked at Google and how to transform what they have been doing in the past and kind of move their ways to use Google and the entire Google platform in kind of new and different ways. It's the first Google Dealer Guidebook that they released, and there's a lot of great information that they included in this. I really loved it. I loved it so much that I actually created, for some of our dealers, a digital boot camp, and I based it around the Google Dealer Guidebook. A lot of great information, and I mean, if any one of our audience members wants a copy of this, I still have this. It's really good information. It's still extremely topical today, and I say that because they're still referencing the Dealer Guidebook 1.0 in this Dealer Guidebook. So it's not really an updated version of this. It's just it's more like what's changed since. And there are some specific things that have changed, since 2017 versus 2020. Now it's been 3 years. But one of the things I loved about the Dealer Guidebook 1.0 is to really start to get people, dealers, marketers, to think about how consumers are engaging with Google. And they reference the micro moments in the Dealer Guidebook 1.0 quite a bit. And they continue to use that in the 2.0. So just a real quick overview of the micro moments from Google. What they've done is they've created different micro moments that consumers are engaging with digital, looking for specific pieces of information and how they're answering those answering the questions that they have. The first one is, which car is best? And then is this car right for me? And then can I afford it? And where should I buy it? And finally, am I getting a good deal? So these are the micro moments. These are the questions consumers are asking, which is, again, kind of laced through the entire Dealer Guidebook 1.0 and then ultimately with Dealer Guidebook 2.0.
And a lot of those micro moments they had talked about happening in so many different areas, like you said, standing in line at the grocery store.
I love that
just
idea,
waiting
right?
There, sitting in traffic.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you shouldn't be on the phone, but just all these moments that somebody can just grab their mobile device and finish what they had started, and they have something that has popped up in their head all of a sudden, and they're going to look it up there.
Yep.
My favorite micro moments on the toilet. I think that's a lot of it, which they didn't really talk about that much, but I'm like, as I listen to other digital marketers and how things are done, realistically, that's where everybody's spending most of their time looking. They're buried in their phone.
Yeah, and I mean, you really think about how people are engaging with digital technology on mobile devices. It is really at any moment that they're disengaged with something else. Let's say you're watching TV, a commercial comes on. First thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your phone. You're going to put your face in the phone, and then you're going to what are you going to do? You're going to go to Facebook. You're going to do a quick Google search. Maybe you're going to go to YouTube. If you're thinking about buying a car, maybe you see a commercial. You see a commercial on TV. You go to the phone. You search it, and then you're answering questions. And the micro moments. The way that they have these laid out, the 5 micro moments. The first 2, which car is best, and is this right for me? These are more like really top funnel stimulus type of engagements. But when they get into the bottom 3 or the last 3 micro moments, can I afford it? Where should I buy it? Am I getting a good deal? This is when your marketing as a dealer has to be in the path to purchase for consumers to engage with you and your website. So they're going to go to your website. They're going to search for vehicles. They're going to go to third-party sites. They're going to search for vehicles. Then they're going to try to determine where they want to buy it. Should I buy it from dealer A, dealer B, or dealer C? And that's another thing that they talk a lot about in the Dealer Guidebook 1.0 and 2.0 is making sure that you have a brand story to engage with consumers. And we talked about that in last week's episode as well, how important that is. So some other things in the Dealer Guidebook 1.0 that they really put a heavy focus on is site speed testing, where you can go to Test My Site from Google, and you can really look at how quick your site is, and they really stress the importance of how important it is to make sure that you have pages that are loading in 3 seconds or less. They talked a lot about what happens if your site doesn't load within 3 seconds, how that is affecting the bounce rate, how that's ultimately affecting the conversion rate. So a lot of great information. So we're going to link up episode 005. If you haven't had an opportunity to listen to that, we highly recommend learning more about that. Some of the other key features that they talk about on the in the Guidebook 1.0 was focusing on optimizing for mobile. So this is 3 years ago, and how important mobile was then. I think at that point, mobile had just overtaken desktop from an engagement standpoint, and now we're 3 years later, and we're much further past a 50%. And it's not slowing down.
In the 70s or something like that. Yeah. So I mean,
and we'll have to look. I think I have the statistics later in our slideshow that'll actually tell us what that statistic is. What's funny is as I edit the Modern Dealer podcast, and a lot of times I'll hear myself either agree with you with what you said or I misstate something. It's like, God damn it. I hate when I do that.
You said face back last week. and I was like, face back?
Face back.
Oh, Facebook. Gotcha.
Okay. Gotcha.
You were trying to say throwback and Facebook in the same sentence. Yeah. And it was face back, the book. And I was like, we know what you meant, man.
Yeah.
We're with you.
It's funny stuff for sure.
Hey, our minds are going 1,000 miles an hour, and yes, we do have ADD. So
yes.
To answer my buddy Kevin Hector's question, you guys, how bad is your ADD? You're like,
very
horrible. Oh man, so
anyways, before we actually get to the next slide, I saw that you jumped ahead there real quick. I just wanted to pick on the last 3 things about the Dealer Guidebook, and then we're going to take a break. We're already 20 minutes in, but it's crazy. Another thing that was important in Dealer Guidebook 1.0 was the importance of video and display. So a lot of people think about Google for search and paid search, I had so we actually recently watched a video about the Dealer Guidebook 1.0. We won't name any names or anything like that. I thought it was fantastic. They did a great job. There's somebody from Google, and there's another digital marketing company in automotive that sponsored it. If you're interested, you can hit me up. I'd be more than happy to share that link with you. But one of the things that it reminded me of is the difference between SEO and SEM. So we're talking about the importance of video and display. So making sure that you have video content from a marketing standpoint for video. We did a whole episode on that as well for TrueView Video. We won't get into it right now from the statistics standpoint, but it's extremely important. If your dealership's not doing it right now, it's a great way to do it inexpensively, depending on what your market is, to drive engagement and support your SEM, which is search engine marketing. Same thing with display. Display is a great way to support what you're doing from a search engine marketing standpoint. So a lot of people will say SEO and equate that to organic clicks. SEO is not organic traffic. SEO is optimizing your website to rank on search results. So that's the search engine optimization. It's not search engine organic. And a lot of people get that confused. SEM is paid marketing for search engine marketing. That's where you pay to have your ads on the Google search results page. So it's just like a pet peeve of mine when I hear people say SEO and they're equating that to organic traffic. It's in the same realm, but it is not the same thing. SEO is optimizing for search engines. It does not mean organic traffic. Anyways, I don't want to go too far down there.
Well, linking back
do you have
to
any questions?
Well, no, linking back to the video and display, the importance of it, and of course, this is a Google Dealer Playbook. This goes actually to your number 2 search engine being YouTube.
Yeah.
And how important it is. They had talked about, I think they just lightly touched on it, but going back to ClickFunnels and to Funnel Hacking Live 2020, I'm on day 15 of Marley Jack's
awesome
video content challenge. And what she's brought to this challenge was talking about so much the importance of video, but where I'm going with this here is just that. When you make a YouTube video, and dealers mostly leave it up to their market agency to do these YouTube videos, those organic videos to put on YouTube is a evergreen advertisement for the dealer. They had briefly touched on this on the video we had watched. They briefly touched on it, but the importance of it is just. I don't think they made it as important as it should be.
They really focused on Google Search and Google Ads on the presentation that we watched, but there is so much more. Search, display, video, and each of them are maybe not equally important, but each of them has a big part of what you should be doing as an advertiser.
Well, where I was going was tying the SEM with your YouTube videos. Yes. So making sure that, you can obviously boost those YouTube videos to get more views, but that's an evergreen advertisement that someone can just do a regular search based upon the long tail title of the video. They'll find out on an SEO, but you can also put some ad dollars behind that to boost that for that evergreen search on there.
So let's take a little diversion and let's just chat about that real quick, because that is very cool to think about what is available. And I'm going to use our example for the Modern Dealer podcast on how we can get our videos in front of more potential dealers and what we're actually doing on a micro scale. So this is actually really cool. So from a video content, you have the ability to advertise utilizing your TV commercials, or if you're creating specific YouTube type of content to attract new consumers, whether it's your brand story, whether it's a campaign, whether it's an ad special. You can place those ads on YouTube through a TrueView advertisement. And you're talking about SEM, search engine marketing. If you looked at YouTube as a search engine, the search ad that would be on YouTube would be the discovery ads. So these are going to be the ads that you see if you're on a desktop on the right-hand side. If you do a search, the top 1 or 2 are going to be paid placements. It's just going to be a thumbnail of the video itself, and you won't pay until somebody actually clicks and watches part of that video.
Right.
So that is the in discovery ads on the YouTube platform, search engine marketing for video. And so this is going to be a tip on how you can use TrueView to advertise your dealership. There is a way to target consumers called custom intent, and I think it's almost like magic. Anybody that searches inside of YouTube or searches inside of Google search a specific a search term, you can take those people within a specific geo and you can put them into a targetable audience, meaning anybody that did that activity, you can present your in-discovery ad to them while they're on the YouTube platform, regardless of what they were searching for at the time. So what we've done is we've targeted some industry-specific ads, and we just did it for a test over this weekend, and we got 1,800 and some odd views on one of our Modern Dealer podcast videos from that campaign, where we only targeted 10 industry-specific ad terms. So very cool way to do it, very inexpensive. I mean, you could throw just a few $100s per month in your specific market with that, but a great way to use search engine marketing on YouTube. So what I'm going to do is, we're 27 minutes into the first segment. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Don't go away. We have a ton of content coming in the second segment of episode 035. David and David will be right back.
Buying a car should be easy. Say hello to Shopper Express, the way car buying should be. With Shopper Express, once you find your car, you can get our best price up front with no hassles. You can personalize your individual payment by selecting from financing or leasing options. Select your desired finance or lease term, adjust your down payment, even research all the available offers, rebates, and incentives, and then apply them to your deal. You can get a personalized trade-in value from Kelley Blue Book instantly. And in just minutes, you can get an express cash offer for your trade-in that's good for 7 days. Plus, research and select available protection plans. You can apply for financing and even get your credit score without your Social Security number. Configure your entire purchase transaction from anywhere in just minutes. Schedule an express delivery, so when you're ready to buy, you can be in and out in an hour or less, or request to have your next car delivered to you. Enjoy a better way to buy a car with Shopper Express.
Welcome back into the second segment of episode 035 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. We thank you for sticking with us. And if this is the first time that you've found the Modern Dealer Podcast,
be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're subscribing to us on YouTube, please turn on notifications.
Ding! You will
it's
be
still so funny. I don't know why. It's just goofy hilarious to us. Turn on notifications so you're alerted every time we drop new content. And as you probably noticed lately, for those that are subscribers, we do have some special edition videos that are leaking out from our NADA special edition trip. And
we're getting a lot of good feedback about them as well, especially from our guests' perspective. So we had the opportunity to sit down and to chat. 10 different people, a couple attorneys, compliance, TCPA, an author, from a female perspective, car buying. So we have had a lot of great feedback. We're going to have 10 of them. I think I have 2 of them out right now. So they are available. So generally we record on a Tuesday, we release on a Thursday. You're going to get notified when we release our episode. And then if we do anything extra special, you're going to be notified of those SE episodes as well. So we appreciate all your support and your viewership. But let's get back into our main topic.
Boom. Dealer Guidebook 2.0.
Yeah, so
we're moving off 1.0 and
Yep.
to 2.0. Feel like we went from Windows 95 to Windows 98.
it's amazing, right?
Night and day.
And that was 3-year difference,
Yeah.
right? And so there's definitely a lot of updates out there. The Dealer Guidebook 2.0. So what I found is actually on slide number 4, you're going to find that there's a ton of information out there. We're going to include links to all of these dealer guidebooks. So there's not just one. This is more of a concept instead of just a thing. So what I was able to find is 3 different dealer guidebooks 2.0. Isn't that weird?
But, it's funny, they said it wasn't going to be released until April, and here it is, February 25th. So was it a particular version, or was it all 3?
So I think what they've done is they've like publicly released it during NADA, during one of their workshops there. So it's actually available. It's not necessarily really easy to find online, so we're going to include links to all of these dealer guidebooks in this video, and you'll be able to get those PDFs, download them, and review them. There's a ton of information, very dense. Some of them are a little bit thinner, some of them are a lot thicker, and we're going to go in, we're going to talk about the differences. So the first one is the Dealer Guidebook, and this is how dealers can drive success on Google. This is probably the thinnest of the 3. And then we move into the Dealer Guidebook 2.0 for practitioners. So these are the people that's actually inside, doing the work, getting things set up. And then they have another Dealer Guidebook, part of this kind of family, this Dealer Guidebook 2.0 family, which is the Dealer Marketing with Google, the Playbook. And this is specifically for Google Ads and Search Ads 360. So
for agencies and Premier Partners.
Yes, exactly. So just a quick clarification on that. So Google Ads is AdWords. They changed the name going back a couple years now. And SA360, which is Search Ads 360. This is Google's enterprise level search engine. What you got?
I thought you said essay. It was essay 360. Hey, essay is 360. I'm like, really? But SA, not
Search
essay. Sorry, I play on words. So it's part of my character, my charm. Yo, essay. I see it's 360.
Essay, yeah. So Search Ads or Google Ads and Search Ads 360. Search Ads 360 is the enterprise level tool set that Google has created and allows large volume agencies and large volume marketers. Like for example, if whoever is managing the Search Ads account for
AutoNation,
maybe not even AutoNation, but more like Nike. Macy's or Coca-Cola, those big brands that are spending millions of dollars on Google Ads, they're going to use a little bit different tool set than a dealership or your agency would be using for dealers.
More of an enterprise, big boy version.
Yes,
so
the
last version is the big boy version.
Yep, and they actually Google has a tool set called the Google Marketing Platform, which includes Search Ads 360. It includes Analytics 360, which is an enterprise level of analytics. And it also includes DV 360, which is Digital Video 360. And that's one of the things that we use for our video and display technology is we place that through the GMP, which is the Google Marketing Platform, which gives us access to additional tools and technologies, enterprise level.
That makes us one of the essays?
Essay. We is.
The Nike level, and then as we're up there, enterprise level, or the essay level.
Exactly. Now, so one of the things, the Dealer Guidebook, they base it on data. So, I'm a big fan of Google, and of what they do from an education standpoint and from a data sharing standpoint. This dealer guidebook is based on actual car buyers. I don't have the stats on how many surveys that they sent out there, how many actual consumers, but it was a good amount to get us to some statistically accurate information. Not only did they get surveys from these car buyers, but these car buyers also shared their web history. So they're able to base all this information on real data. The dealer guidebook kind of goes the junior version, the light version of the Google Guidebook really focuses on three key areas. Number one, 3 truths, 3 trends, one solution, and then a profitability calculator. But all of that was based on a path to purchase study. So it's one of the things you were looking at earlier is in one of the slides that we'll share in this in our podcast is it says why Aussie brands and OEMs need a digital first strategy. So the Aussie brands is Australian brands. The path to purchase study that I was able to find online was for Australian car buyers. I was not able to find a U.S. version of this path to purchase study. So I don't know if the Google Dealer Guidebook 2.0 is based on U.S. purchases or if it's based on Australian purchases. If I do find that out in the future, I'd like to share that with our Modern Dealer podcast audience, so you can actually get into the actual data that they use to study there. So there's a couple slides from the Australian version of the 2019 Path to Purchase study. So some good information there. But moving into the
3 truths.
The Google Guidebook 2.0, 3 truths. So we're just going to kind of, touch on some of this stuff and have some conversation about it. So one of them is car shoppers research heavily. So this is 3 truths, right? This is not 3 new things that you don't already fucking know, right? You already know these things, right? So they're basing what you know already, but they're going to add some context to it, right? So car shoppers research heavily, right? What does it say?
Yeah, 63% discover they're purchasing dealership online. You can't win on the showroom floor if you don't win online first. So let's do the throwback. We always go back 20 years. So when you and I were selling cars, how many dealerships did a customer with the old legal pad would walk in and they had how many roughly? 5?
Well, so this actually really brings up a good...
Because it ties in with the statistic.
100% does. So, when me and my team, we sat down, we watched the presentation about the dealer guidebook, and one of the things that I saw here, and I actually saw also on the Facebook Automotive Dealer Guidebook, somebody was referencing a study that said today consumers are visiting less than 2 dealerships, 1.5, 1.4 dealerships before making a decision, meaning that customers are really deciding who they want to buy from before they visit the dealership, but they do that online. What was interesting about that is they said that in the last 5 years, that number has changed from 5 dealerships now down to 1. The funny thing is that's not true, right? Because that actually references a study that came out in 2011 saying that 5 years prior to that, so 2005, 2006, customers were visiting 5 dealerships. So the customers have been doing this for years. For years at this point. Back in the 90s, it was not.
They were physically walking, and now they're just looking at you online. Exactly. They're going to check a few stores and shop. Your geo. They're going to cross shop you with maybe if you're a Toyota store, they're going to cross shop you with a Honda store, or they may shop another Toyota dealership if you're in the Tampa Bay area. If you can spit there, you can put one there.
Yep.
You've got 6 or 7 right here in this area, but they're just doing this. Just transposes what we were used to years ago to the legal pad. They're just doing it on their phone. So when they actually walk into your store, they're ready to buy.
Yes.
Basically, that per customer walking in, that's a deal.
Exactly.
Be all over them like you wouldn't believe.
Now, and it's really up to you to lose the deal once the customer actually comes into the dealership, right? And that is going to be based on how you how you engage with the customer and give them what they're looking for is, a transparent buying service, a transparent buying process. Make sure that it's fast, that it's customer friendly, all the things that we know that we need to do. But I think in this case, this really accentuates the point that customers are making their decision online before they visit your dealership showroom. One of the things that is a new piece of information that I learned is that, did you know that more millennials are buying cars than Gen Xers?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know they're going to surpass baby boomers by 2021.
Yeah, either this year or next year.
Right.
But in 2019, more millennials bought new cars than Gen Xers.
Yeah, that's true. My wife got a new 4Runner. It's her 4Runner.
There you go.
She's a millennial. I'm Gen X. So I mean, there you go.
But I thought that was very interesting because if I were to guess, I would have said Gen Xers for sure,
right,
over millennials. But millennials they have overtaken Gen X, and by this year or next year they're going to overtake baby boomers. So it's going to be the largest segment by far. And I think the only reason that baby boomers are still the largest segment is because there's just so many more baby boomers than Gen Xers.
Interesting thing, totally off topic. This past weekend was my dad's 80th birthday, and we had some statistics from 1940 when he was born. They said the U.S. population was 125 million in 1940.
Yeah,
now we're at 270.
370, I think.
370?
I think.
So the U.S. population, so I mean, I know the voting is like 250, 270, so I guess, 300. So those baby boomers were booming.
Yeah. What's crazy, too, you think about the world population, we're over 7 million. And then 7 billion.
Almost 8 billion.
And when I was born in 1970, it was 4.
Wow. Yeah. So we doubled.
Yeah. In 40 and 50 years. Yeah.
I feel like the crazy. Captain Obvious commercial, and they're like, why is she on vacation? And they go, condoms. You have to see the commercial. We'll play the commercial what I'm talking about. It's hilarious. And David will play it right now. So I don't look like a jackass.
Me looking off.
Look, she's on another vacation. Wow, so happy for you. Smiley face emoji.
Funny how the words you type don't reveal the jealousy you actually feel.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
How is she there and we're here?
Condoms.
True.
Referring to it. There we go.
That's funny. All right, so I thought that was a really interesting piece of information. So why is that important? Why is this included in the truths? We already know, our Modern Dealer podcast audience knows that customers are making the decision online, that they're going online, they're making that. But why it's important is that it's just not the Gen Xers and the baby boomers that are engaging online, but when millennials are as well. And they're consuming information differently than Gen Xers or baby boomers. And much more of it is happening on YouTube. On average, people are taking twice as many video test drives than actual test drives. So the engagement is happening on mobile devices, on digital, and especially on mobile devices.
It was 83% of the Aussie, when going back to that Aussie slide, it was 83 or 73% of people would actually do a digital video test drive in Australia versus the U.S. there.
Yeah.
But the
73%.
73%. Yeah. I knew it was high.
Yeah, very high.
It was pretty high.
And another piece of information on these 3 truths, they say over a 3-month period of time, 81% of purchasers spend up to 3 months doing their research. So we know that customers are researching online. That's where they're making the determination of what dealership that they want to do business with. And then they're going to that dealership and attempting to purchase a vehicle, and they're going to be defected at that point or not. And this actually brings up a really good point too, is that just because they're choosing not to do business with you, that does not necessarily mean that they're going to your competitor. They might be going online and buying a vehicle from Carvana, which is something that we learned on our Carvana episode. Is it's not necessarily that Carvana is doing a great job in getting that first opportunity to sell that customer a car, but they're picking up the defectors, right?
Yep. They're picking up the scraps.
Yeah, the people that try to buy from a dealership and say, you know what, I'm out.
Carvana's like hyenas. They're scavengers picking up on the bodies of these car deals that flopped and are like, oh, well, we can help you.
Yeah. So over a 3-month period of time is another one of these 3 truths. So this is, again, something that we already know, that customers are researching. They're completing their research in that 90-day window prior to showing up in your dealership showroom. And the reason they're bringing this up is they're illustrating the fact that it's important to make sure that you're mindful of that when you're advertising. Don't necessarily pull back in advertising. Don't pull back from advertising on the slow months, because that's not going to necessarily affect what's going to happen this month, but it's what is going to be affected next month, 2 months prior.
And a lot of dealers throttle back in February because they're like, oh, February's
it's
slow
a short month.
So,
it's slow.
Yeah, so I'm going to throttle back my advertising.
But then you got March.
Right, and those buyers were actually shopping in January, February, and they were making their purchase in March at the end of Q1.
Yeah. So Google is making the case for don't pull back on the slow months. I mean, they're almost saying double down on the slow months to prep for that the big thrust months. Now the other truth.
Oh, and are ready to buy when they arrive at your door. So 71% of purchasers do not submit an online lead. When I heard that, that was actually eye-opening to me. Up from 39% in 2013. So you basically have jumped a tremendous 41%. Have their first communication with the dealer when they arrive at the store. So they may not, to your internet department, that's, we're scrapping for those leads. Yep. Their lead counts dropping because customers are doing the research, they're getting what they want and bouncing out, and then they'll show up. When they show up, they're ready to buy.
Yep. And I think there's another thing to learn from these statistics is that the simple online form that we've utilized in the past 10 or 20 years on your dealership website are less and less effective. So thinking that you're going to use a simple online form to convert consumers it's proven to be less effective. And instead of just abandoning all hope to convert customers to leads, which I still think is extremely important, is that you just have to find new and different ways to provide value to consumers for the type of engagement and activity that they're looking to complete.
You got to incentivize them.
You got to incentivize them. Another thing, too, is you look at less than 2% of the customers convert on a website lead form, but you have over 10% of the customers that visit a dealership website that's going to go through a pricing or a building, a build my deal type of activity. So that's where I would start to look forward to and how to increase engagement on your website. Of course, that fits perfectly with our strategy with Shopper Express, giving the ability for a customer to schedule a test drive online, to build and configure their entire deal, to get their trade value, and then also get their credit score and get pre-qualified for a loan, in a very engaging format. So they're getting something for that form fill, and we are, providing some sort of, return instead of just filling out a form and hoping you get a response back from a dealership.
Is definitely have changed.
Yes.
Definite big changes there. So the 3 trends.
3 trends. So newer isn't always better. They say, so these are new things, new trends in over the last year that they found after surveying all these consumers that actually purchased a vehicle through the Path to Purchase study. They found that 55% of new car shoppers are considering used or CPO. So that's up from 30% in 2016. So we're looking at a 4-year period. 25%. That's a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
And what they're not quantifying here is how many people are not necessarily going with CPO at a dealership, but they're abandoning the traditional in-store shopping experience and going online to Vroom or Carvana or other online retailers, because that has to quantify. That has to be in the calculation because of the amount of cars that these retailers are selling.
That CPO being really important, because if you're a Chevy store and you've got a 2018,
Carvanas can't compete with that.
They can't compete with that because you have to be obviously the manufacturer in order to give it that that manufacturer CPO, so certified pre-owned.
Yeah. So a heightened
awareness there.
Awareness for your used vehicle department, really focusing on CPO, I think, is a huge opportunity that's going to create some separation between you and Carvana. So if you're in a market that is competing against Carvana, I would really look to increase your marketing around CPO. Think about how can you do that. Are your search ads set up to include certified pre-owned? Are you telling that certified pre-owned story? Do you have any video content around what a certified pre-owned vehicle is? And then from an organic standpoint too, I think this would be a perfect opportunity for you to take, grab one of your sales managers, grab, a salesperson, and talk about the certified pre-owned program right to your phone, right? And then use that and share that organically on Facebook. Use that and share that on with TrueView ads to get that CPO message to consumers. And that really kind of segues right into the next one, right?
I'm on the phone. 69% of shoppers will only interact with your mobile site. So as everyone has said, this is the remote control to our lives. Yep. This is where everything is going to mostly happen is on mobile devices. So many people, if you don't have a smartphone, it was so funny. I was watching a Gary Vee presentation, and Gary asked the entire audience of I think you had 1,000 people in a room. I said, who here does not have a smartphone? Right. One guy out of 1,000 did not. And he said, well, I just got rid of it because I was tired of being so connected to the world. And he went back to, I don't know what he found, but he found some sort of phone that wasn't a smartphone.
Yep.
So
search is still number one. 88% of purchasers are still searching just 3 days before purchase. And search is still the number one last step before visiting a dealership. And this kind of brings out another point that they made on the presentation that we saw from Google. And it illustrates the importance of how important search is. And there's so many people out there now saying you don't need to be on Google. You don't need to be advertising on Google. They're going to find you anyways. And I think this completely illustrates the point that if you're not putting yourself in that path to purchase, when customers are looking for you, they're going to end up finding somebody else. So this is an extremely important area.
One of the big things, they were just Googled you to get your address.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things. So that 3 days before purchase was like, oh, wait, where's that dealership at again? Oh, let me Google Sutherland Toyota. Oh, they don't exist.
And it does, they don't exist anymore. But it also illustrates the importance of Google My Business, going back to episode 001 of the Modern Dealer Podcast, with what you can do with Google My Business from an organic standpoint, not an SEO standpoint, from an organic standpoint.
Look at the clock.
Okay, so 24 minutes in, the last piece is one solution: automate to drive profit. So they're really building out this entire Google Playbook 2.0, driving everybody to this idea of automation. They have machine learning and automation to drive really spectacular results within the Google platform. I'm a big proponent of that in many different ways. We've talked about that before, utilizing the maximize conversions, maximize conversion bidding strategy. That's one of the machine learning technologies that's inside the Google platform. There's many others as well. And of course, we're not going to be able to get into all of that. But here are some of the big takeaways that I had for the Google Marketing Playbook. The Google Dealer Playbook 2.0. Car shoppers research online. Millennials have surpassed Gen X in share of new vehicle purchases. 57% of buyers are driven by life events, whether it's marriage, buying a house, graduation, having a baby.
That was me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. The 3-month research window in the importance of consistency. If they're going to buy in March, they're researching in January and February. Less than 2% fill out a form online, but 10% build and price when they're on your dealership website. 41% of first contact is actually that when that customer walks into your dealership's showroom. I know we only got a few minutes left. There's a lot of other great information, such as how many new vehicles are coming out in the next 3 years. Something to be very aware of. 72% to answer the question that we had earlier in the podcast are mobile only versus 47%. In 2014 and 6% in 2011. How the world has changed in less than a decade, right?
I like how the phone's gotten bigger too.
Yeah.
And the slides.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
It has been growing.
Yeah. So, if you look at a phone from then versus now, it's almost
Twice its size.
It's almost as wide as it was tall back then. So very interesting. 40 touch points, the last 40 digital research touch points, 29% of that is search. So search is extremely important. Another thing that I thought was really, really cool too, and I'll take my Google Analytics 2020 down to another 32nd this month, because I want to touch on this too, which I thought was extremely important. They talk about the metrics that we've looked at with search for the last 10 or 20 years. We've talked about CPC, cost per click, CTR, click-through rate, average position, impression share, and that is really everything that we've been driving our search to. Is like, what's your CPC? How much are you paying cost per click? What's your click-through rate? What's your average position? What are you trying to optimize for? What's your impression share? Now Google is saying, you know what? Fuck all those.
Are you just selling cars?
Yeah. What you need to be worried about, are you selling cars and making money? That is the ultimate outcome, is profit. So how can you manage search to your business objective? And that is kind of the whole point of this entire dealer guidebook, is to get to the point where they're going to be talking about store visits. Now, what's really interesting is that last week, my Google Analytics 2020 was for store visits inside of Google Analytics. So now what they're saying is store visits inside of Google Ads, which is kind of the same thing, is really the most important element of where you want to drive your success metrics from, is how many people are actually coming into the store. So with Google AdWords, you have the ability to go in and look at how many people clicked on an ad in Google Ads and ultimately walked through your door.
Geofence.
Yeah, so they do that through geofencing. They do it through other machine learning and other algorithms and other ways to validate those customers coming into your showroom. But that's really what it comes down to. And they are suggesting that you calculate your return on investment based on those store visits. They provide a calculator to be able to do that. So you take your store visits, what you can get right from Google Ads, and then take that times the profit per visit divided by your marketing investment, how much money you spent on those ads, and that's going to give you your dealer profit per advertising dollar. Their whole mantra is to get away from CPC, get away from CTR, get away from those media metrics, and get onto business metrics of how many dollars are you we lost it. Okay.
That's okay.
Wow. Okay, we're going to bring it back then. So we're going to go back to the store visits. We actually ran over. It's my fault. But there's so much, like I said earlier in the podcast, there's just a ton of information that we
Could
need
do a part
to.
2 to this.
Yeah, we might. Yeah, I think we probably
should break this up into two episodes.
Yeah.
Because there's still a lot more that we need to kind of touch base.
Yes.
Touch and breeze over.
So we're going to do that. So just real quick, I'll
go back to your calculation.
Yeah, the calculator. So they're providing a profit calculator, store visits time, profit per visit, so your average profit, and then marketing investment that gives you the dealer profit per every $1 in advertising. And their whole goal is to you to equate. I spend for every $1 I spend on Google search, I make $17, or I make $30, or I make $100. For every $1, I make $100. So to change your thinking instead of
those
for every
vanity
$1
metrics.
I get this click.
Yeah. Get away from the vanity metrics of the CPC, the CTR, and the average position and impression share. Get away from those vanity metrics are just a bunch of bullshit.
Media metrics too. I love the idea of what they call media metrics.
Right. Media metrics, which like an advertising agency would say, well, we'll get you this click-through rate and this and that, which, are you fucking selling me cars? I mean, that's the end of it. And then they give you the formula to calculate, hey, I'm spending this much, what's my ROI? Yeah. So that's simple and easy.
I think you have to kind of think through how that actually works, because, how many of those store visits you might have service customers that are going to click on an ad and get to your dealership. Maybe your average RO, your average return on an RO is going to be far less than it is selling a vehicle. So you got to take those pieces in consideration again. But I think it's a good metric to judge the success of your digital marketing.
That'd be one of the 40 touch points then, if it was somebody from service, because I'm not sure if that was part of their 40 touch points, but that could be a touch point there. But one of my touch points, we could touch into some tips, and we'll go into Google Analytics.
Let me do the Google Analytics, then we'll go right into the tips.
Yeah.
So this is just going to be a quick Analytics 2020, Analytics Insights 2020, and we're going to be talking about site speed. So something that they talked about in the Google Playbook 1.0 heavily is built right into Google Analytics. If you go into Google Analytics and on the left-hand side, if you go under behavior, you're going to find site speed, and then you're going to find speed suggestions. So under site speed, you're going to be able to see what your average load time is, among other metrics from a speed standpoint, on how your dealership website is performing. And then inside there, you can actually open up by clicking on the speed suggestions, and then it's going to give you some specifics on where there are some bottlenecks for speed on your dealership website. So if you are looking at your website and saying, my website sucks, it takes too long for a customer to get to anywhere on my site, and you are working with your website provider and saying, hey, you got to help me, this is not good, and they're saying, well, I don't know what to do. I mean, this is your website, this is the platform. Now you have a way to just go into your Google Analytics, go to page or site speed, go to speed suggestions, and understand what is on this page speed insights report. And then have a conversation with your website provider. Let's get to work on making this better, because you know how important site speed is. So that is Google Insights 2020. And now we're going to move into Bert's 3 tips.
Ding, ding, and ding.
All right.
That's always fun too. Just loving the dings. But 3 tips. So shockingly, as David and I discussed earlier, one of my tips was that these buyers, when they come to the store, I mean, they are really ready to purchase now. They're still doing a ton of research, but all of that research is online. So having your entire sales process, from the receptionist all the way to your salespeople there, ready for when that customer walks in the door, treat them like they're a buyer, because still to this day, I still see, I walk into a dealership as a vendor and I could roam around the showroom for 10 minutes and nobody greets me, which is a shock. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If I was a buyer, then to me, that just blows my mind.
It wouldn't have happened in '96 when I was selling cars.
We're all over that customer like a pack of dogs on Bert and Cheney's leg. I can laugh about it. It's me.
Funny.
And actually, speaking of going back to one of the 3 pieces there, blah, 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 blah. It was the 3 truths. One of the 3 truths, which was shocking to me, was that having a switch car, how many people are actually in 3 trends going to the CPOs?
Yeah.
That there's a lot of people are up 25% considering to buy a certified pre-owned. So the importance, one of my tips is doing a trade walk to have a switch car for your new car department. So new cars needs to know that, hey, we've got a 2018 that only has 8,000 miles.
We do need to do a trade walk episode.
Oh,
really
man,
talk
we're gonna
about
go,
how powerful that is.
We're going to get Glenn Mills on it too, man.
absolutely.
That'd be fun.
Cool.
We'll go over to AutoNation. And last one, True Review, custom intent. Man, I've always been impressed by that. Just as a tool, just to get into that, to learn that.
Just think about a customer can go into Google and type in your dealership name, and then your competitor's name, or Toyota, or Honda, or Nissan, or Chevy, or whatever, and you can target that person through custom intent. So it's very cool. It's almost like magic. Great way to go. Good point, David.
Magical. And magically, that is the end.
That is it.
We've reached it.
Wow.
It was a longer episode because it's just so much to cover.
It is so much. So we definitely will pull out and do more. There's a lot more slides that I had set to do this episode. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get through it all, like I never am, but it is great. And we actually had this is going to be a longer episode 6 minutes ago. If you saw a little error in the video, it's because our cameras stopped midway through, and we had to restart for a 3rd segment. So we do apologize for that. But hey, it's been a great episode.
Yeah, man. Always good. Always good. Always fun. And we got a guest next week.
Yes,
we got a guest actually from NADA, which couldn't make it out there. He's going to join us on a Zoom.
That should be fun.
Excited to have him on board. But other than that, we've got still, and keep your eyes out for all those NADA special episodes still leaking out. So keep your eye out for that.
Yep.
Other than
all
that.
Right. So for David
and David, that's a wrap.
Well, you must have been misinformed then, David.